A country told it could never play football. 30 years later, it shook the world. Qatar, 2022. A ball tumbled toward the byline. Between that ball and the white paint, 1.88 millimeters. The entire planet stopped breathing. That wasn't a cross. That was 30 years of obsession, compressed into a single heartbeat. Here's what happened after the final whistle. Japan had won, beaten Spain, beaten Germany, finished top of the group, and sent a 4-time World Cup champion home on the way out. Then the players walked into the locker room and cleaned it. Every bottle sorted, every towel folded, every scrap of paper off the floor. On the table, they left 11 paper cranes and a handwritten card in Arabic that read, "Thank you." FIFA posted the photo. Someone in the comments wrote, "They didn't just clean up Germany, they cleaned up the locker room. Nobody told them to do that. They just always have." But here's the thing. 29 years earlier, in that same city, on that same ground, a group of Japanese players were also on the floor. They weren't celebrating. They were crying. October 28th, 1993. Doha, Qatar. Everything collapsed on one humid October night. Japan needed a single result. Beat Iraq, walk through the door into the World Cup for the very first time, a door they'd been standing outside for 70 years. They scored first. They led. With the clock bleeding out, the fans were already standing, and across Japan, millions of people squeezed their fists around nothing. Then stoppage time arrived. Iraq equalized. Final score, 2-2. A midfielder in the number 17 shirt dropped onto the grass and stayed there. His name was Makoto Morishige. Years later, he would describe that night in a single sentence. "I remember I cried. I was heartbroken. I felt completely lost." Japan named it. They called it the Tragedy of Doha. What made it so devastating wasn't just the loss. It was the way it happened. 2 steps from the finish line, they fell, and the wait reset to 4 more years. Before boarding the flight home, the chairman of the Japanese Football League, Saburo Kawabuchi, gathered everyone on the tarmac and said, "Starting tomorrow, we face fierce criticism. Let us accept it, and let us move forward." Nobody standing there fully understood what those words meant yet. They would. Rewind a little further. Before 1993, Japanese football was, honestly, second tier in Asia. The national team's players all held day jobs. They trained in the evenings, competed on weekends, and got knocked out of World Cup qualifying by South Korea in 1986, then by North Korea in 1990. The ambition wasn't the World Cup. The ambition was the Olympics. Baseball ruled this country. Sumo ruled this country. Football was what children did on weekends before dinner. When the idea of a professional league first surfaced, the opposition was immediate and loud. If baseball is hemorrhaging money, football will be a catastrophe. No fan base, no infrastructure, no precedent anywhere in Asia. Forget it. One man refused to forget it. Saburo Kawabuchi had worn Japan's colors at the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. He understood what it felt like to love this game, and he understood that the love was still there, buried somewhere beneath baseball caps and sumo stables, waiting for an exit. When the critics told him the timing was wrong, his answer was simple and permanent. The people who say the timing isn't right, in 100 years, they'll still be saying the timing isn't right. The people who say there's no precedent, in 200 years, they'll still say there's no precedent. May 15th, 1993, the same year Doha shattered them, the J-League ignited at the National Olympic Stadium in Tokyo. Professional football had arrived, and here's the strange, almost painful irony of it. The brightest dawn and the deepest wound landed in the same calendar year. After Doha, Kawabuchi didn't slow down. He accelerated. By 1996, he'd produced something that stunned everyone who read it. A plan running over 1,000 pages, built around 3 pillars. A professional league system, a rebuilt youth development pipeline from the ground up, and open borders. Foreign coaches in, Japanese players out. Buried at the end was a target so bold that people genuinely laughed. Win the World Cup by 2050. A country that had never qualified for the tournament, dreaming of winning it. $3 million a year went into grassroots programs. A 5-tier coaching certification was built from scratch. S, A, B, C, D, turning part-time instructors into professional developers. The entire country was mapped into 9 regions, 47 local associations, all connected, all accountable. Every J-League club was required, not encouraged, required, to run under 12, under 15, and under 18 academies from day one. Every winter, 4,000 school teams converged on the National Stadium in Tokyo for the high school championship. People started calling it Summer is Koshien, Winter is the National. Baseball had its sacred tournament, and now football had one too. That's not a league. That's a religion being built. The borders swung open at the top as well. Hans Hooft arrived from the Netherlands in 1992 as Japan's first foreign head coach. Then came Philippe Troussier from France, Zico from Brazil, Ivica Osim from Yugoslavia. Every coach brought a different football language, and Japan absorbed all of it, digested it, grew from it, moved on to the next one. The players started leaving too. Kazuyoshi Miura, the man who scored in Doha, had already trained in Brazil years before his name meant anything. He proved the journey was possible. Then Hidetoshi Nakata won the Asian Footballer of the Year in 1997 and again in 1998, landed in Serie A, and demonstrated something even more important. A Japanese player could genuinely hold his ground in Europe's top leagues. That door, once cracked open, never closed again. 4 years after Doha, they finally touched the dream. A playoff in Johor Bahru, Malaysia. Japan versus Iran. Extra time. Everything on the line. Masashi Nakayama struck the winner, 3-2. Back home, people collapsed in front of their televisions. The moment earned its own name, the joy of Johor. 4 years of pain converted into one goal. For the first time in the story, the anguish actually turned into something else. France, 1998 came and went. 3 games, 3 defeats, group stage exit. Arsene Wenger, coaching in the J-League at the time, watched and offered a quiet verdict. Japan's level is not low, but winning is what matters. 2002, Home World Cup, round of 16, 5 European-based players in the squad. 2006, group stage exit again. Every time Japan pressed against the ceiling, they pulled back, returned to the work, shipped more players abroad, and waited. This country knows how to wait. 2010, South Africa, round of 16. 14 Europeans in the squad. 2018, Russia, round of 16 again, 18 Europeans. That tournament, Japan led Belgium 2-0 in the last 16. With 14 seconds of normal time remaining, Belgium scored a third. It ended 2-3. 14 seconds. The defeat was so specific, so brutal, it got its own name too. The 14 seconds of Rostov. Every one of these moments could have broken the project. Every single one became another brick instead. Qatar, 2022. Group E, Germany, Spain, Costa Rica. A draw so hostile, it had a nickname before the tournament started. Most analysts gave Japan no realistic chance of advancing. The head coach standing in the dugout was Makoto Morishige. The boy in the number 17 shirt. The one who dropped onto the grass in Doha and stayed there. First game, Japan versus Germany. Location, Doha, Qatar. Germany converted a penalty in the 31st minute and led. Japan were behind in this city against a 4-time world champion. Something about that had to feel familiar in Morishige's bones. At halftime, he made his moves. Ritsu Doan and Takuma Asano came on, both playing their club football in the Bundesliga. 2 men who had sharpened themselves inside German football, now sent out to cut through it. 75th minute, Doan finished, 1-1. 83rd minute, Asano latched onto a long ball, drove into the box, and squeezed a shot from a vicious angle past the keeper. 2-1. Japan dismantled Germany using players the Bundesliga had built. After the final whistle, someone asked Morishige what it meant to win here, in this city, 29 years after that night. He paused, then said, "We believe in the contribution German football has made to our development. We're grateful for it. But no matter who we face, we want to win. Japan will keep learning. From Germany, from the best in the world. No theater, no revenge narrative, just gratitude and then forward." December 1st, Japan versus Spain. Spain needed only a draw. Japan had to win or go home. The first half ran exactly as scripted. Murata headed Spain in front, and everything looked orderly and inevitable. Then the second half arrived and orderly collapsed. 7 minutes in, Doan struck again, 1-1. 3 minutes later, Kaoru Mitoma drove a ball toward the byline from deep. The assistant's flag went up. By every reasonable reading of physics, the ball had crossed the line. VAR stepped in. The stadium froze. Cameras locked onto the footage, frame by frame, millimeter by millimeter. Ao Tanaka had tapped the ball home, and the question was whether the moment that created it had already ceased to exist. The verdict, still in, by 1.88 millimeters. 2-1. The goal stood. In 3 minutes, Japan had scored twice, knocked Germany out of the tournament, pushed Spain into second place, and claimed the group. Japan didn't sleep that night. Neither did anyone watching. The run ended against Croatia on penalties in the round of 16. Players wept on the pitch. Real tears, not performance. Then they walked back inside, cleaned the locker room completely, folded the paper cranes, and wrote thank you in Arabic on a card. Lost. Still grateful. FIFA posted it and called it staying true to themselves. Was any of it luck? Consider what actually accumulated behind that 1.88 millimeters. A 1,000-page plan written by a man who refused to wait for permission. $3 million a year into grassroots football, compounding quietly across 3 decades. 4,000 schools competing every winter for a trophy that meant something to the whole country. A pipeline that carried 5 European-based players in 2002 all the way to 20 by 2022. And by 2021, 451 Japanese players were scattered across European leagues, 250 of them in Germany alone. That isn't fortune, that's architecture. Somewhere in the Football Association building in Tokyo, a flag still hangs. It reads, World Cup winners by 2050. They haven't done it yet. The point was never certainty. It was commitment. Because if you won't even write the thing down, you'll never make yourself do it. The boy who wept on the grass in 1993 stood on that same ground in 2022 and watched his players rewrite the story. 30 years of training sessions before sunrise, of teenagers leaving home for foreign cities and foreign languages, of coaches certifying and recertifying, of paper cranes and handwritten thank you notes. All of it compressed finally into 1.88 millimeters on a Doha byline. This was never really about football. The miracle didn't fall from the sky. It was built, 1 year at a time, 1 millimeter at a time, by people who decided the only direction worth moving was forward.